Yeah, that's
Blog Talk Radio.
good.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander. I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barbara, here with me. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
And why don't you introduce our guest today? Because you know well.
Okay, I'm so excited, everybody. We are continuing with our Playboy Playmate series, and today we have with us Miss March 1994, Neriah Davis. Hi, Neriah.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Jonathan. How are you guys?
Hello.
We are doing great. How are you, Johnny?
Great.
I just talked
Wonderful.
to Johnny, and he's doing great. So, okay, you all know we start off with this question. And the reason we start off with this question is because this is a question that I receive more than any other question about Playboy. And that is, Neriah, how did you become a Playboy Playmate?
Okay, that's a very good question. I guess when I moved to LA in like the early 90s, that was kind of like, I mean, I guess I can speak for myself, but it was pretty much like a goal. It was pretty respected, you know, in Hollywood and, you know, down there. And let's see, I turned 21 when I was shooting my centerfold. So I was very young.
Wow.
I grew up, you know, in Northern California, very simple lifestyle. We did not have electricity. We, you know, we grew all our own food. You know, my dad didn't allow magazines or anything to do with, like, you know, Babylon or the world inside our house. But I remember when I was like, oh gosh, it must have been like maybe 13 or 14, and I was snooping in his study, and I found a Playboy magazine, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, you know, and so I think it kind of the seed got planted then, but anyways, then fast forward to, you know, me moving down to LA when I was 18, and I met a photographer. His name is Dominic Petruzzi, and we did some headshots. And he mentioned that he was friends with Marilyn Grabowski, who was Hef's, you know, right-hand man, woman, and she basically he made the final decision, but she was very instrumental in choosing the Playmates. Am I correct, Barbara?
Oh, totally correct. Maine West Coast
Right.
editor, they worked hand in hand with all of that, definitely. When you heard, that Marilyn wanted to go with you and Marilyn was, you know, made this decision, you knew that it was basically Hef too.
Right.
Yes.
So he said, we're friends, can I submit you? And this was when they were searching for the 40th anniversary Playmate, okay? And so there was a big hunt going on for these Playmates. And 2 weeks after he submitted my photos, they called me in for a test. And then 2 weeks after that, I got the call that they wanted to shoot my gatefold, and I had been approved. So it was very It was very quick, and I didn't. The 40th anniversary Playmate was Anne Marie Goddard, but I guess I was first runner-up or something like that. So I don't know, but I ended up being March. I shot my gatefold in July of '93. I shot my small camera in October, and then I was Miss March '94. So it was all real quick. I mean,
it really did happen quickly for you, didn't it? It
happened really quick. Yeah. So it was
kind
of a whirlwind. I did not see my centerfold until I decided to pull over on Laurel Canyon at a newsstand, and it was on the stands, and that's when I first saw the whole.
That is too funny. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold on. When you moved to, I mean, you grew up with no electricity. That means no TV. So how did you go from that to, hey, I'm going to go to L.A., and were you going there to become a model or an actress or what? And how did you know this is what you wanted when you, it seemed like kind of a sheltered upbringing?
For sure, yeah, super sheltered. And, but, you know, I think because it was so sheltered, I had that, like, a little bit of hunger for the glamorous life, just because, you know, you grow up with an outhouse, kerosene lanterns, goats, turkeys. You know, I mean, I'm super hippy-dippy and never shaved my armpits, but for me, I went the opposite way. And being in pretty close proximity to LA, like, you know, being, you know, it was this 5-hour drive from where I grew up, and it was the closest thing to, you know, something going on than,
right.
I mean, I could have gone to San Francisco, but that wasn't really on my radar. And so when I graduated high school, I wanted to go to school for fashion, and so I went to a JC in Santa Rosa, and I wanted to do like fashion merchandising, fashion design, something in that, along those lines. But fate led me a different direction. I met a girl who was an aspiring model actress in LA. Her boyfriend at the time was a Chippendale dancer, and the Chippendales they were going on a world tour, so she needed a roommate to pay like half the rent while he was gone, like touring the world stripping. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go. I'll be your roommate. And so I started going on auditions with her, and that's when I started hearing people tell me, oh, you should do Playboy, you know. And my roommate at the time was like so against it. She was told me I was just another California blonde. They would never choose me. La la la. Well,
being a little jealous.
Yeah. So
that is not encouraging.
It was not encouraging, but she clearly, you know, she was mistaken. So
clearly,
I guess you didn't know that Hess likes blondes or like blondes,
and other things that you have too. But Neriah, obviously, that when you grew up, you started to mature and develop. Did you, from the time when you were 13, looking at Playboy Magazine, to just growing up through your high school years, say, wow, I guess I'm growing into the look of a playmate. Did that cross your mind? I want to do that, what I saw in the magazine. I want to do that.
Probably not conscious. I mean, maybe probably subconsciously, but, you know, I've always been really athletic. I was a big runner, lifting weights. I always really, like, into, like, physical exercise and being healthy, you know, and I think that really went along with being born and raised in California. And so I would lay out and be tan and had my blonde hair and my athletic body, and then, you know, a couple, you know, cosmetic procedures later, boom, there I am, you know.
Not much, though. Just a little.
Just a little.
Yes. And I agree, and our stories are very similar with that, with me seeing my dad's Playboy magazines at around the same age, 12, and, you know, it was always in the back of my mind, you know, not like, oh, that's my goal, but it was in the back of my mind, and then when it happened, you're like, wow, maybe I was manifesting this in a way. But I think Johnny had manifesting without knowing it, you know. Johnny had a question, I think.
I had no idea what manifesting meant, you know, but
me neither.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Is there a playmate that you kind of model yourself after? Like, for instance, you know how they say, like, basketball players, people that do basketball, they see someone play basketball and they think, wow, or they're boxers, and then they see someone.
I don't think I'm alone in this. I could be wrong, but I for sure, like, the ultimate ideal when I moved to LA was Pamela Anderson. I mean, she was like the ultimate Was she ever a playmate?
Yeah.
Was she?
Yes,
she was.
In the 1990s, she was a playmate, like 4 years before you. Yes, she was happening at our time when we came along.
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Big time. She was the ideal. I know for a lot of women, and young girls that were, coming to LA. And I remember I ended up having lunch with her. You remember Billy Adkins, Barbara?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was
sweet.
like, I'm having lunch with Pamela Anderson. So I was able to meet her, and I thought she was just so gorgeous and sweet, and she just was so beautiful, So, yeah.
She really was.
Johnny, she was definitely, she was probably, she was a goal for sure.
Right. And remember, everybody, when she got Baywatch, first she was on Tool Time. And even then, people were saying, for the auditions, we need the Pamela Anderson type. And, they'd always send you, I'm sure, and they always sent me. And that was the thing. And then when she, plucked all of her eyebrows out and made them thin, then everybody was doing that to me. And it was like, oh, no. And that I didn't like. But it happened. Yes, everybody was trying to emulate her, and it was big deal. Right, but okay, so she's the one, and that's a good question, Johnny, because I have one. She wasn't famous, just a Playboy playmate, but I always thought Cheryl Bachman was like the perfect playmate look. I loved her long, straight hair and the perfect hard body.
I remember when she walked into, I was in a nightclub, and she walked in there so her boyfriend at the time was a Chippendale also. And they walked in, and she walked in, and I was just like, oh, my God, because she had that gorgeous tan, the beautiful long hair, those cheekbones. I mean, she was just stunning. Yeah, she was gorgeous.
Yes. Okay. So you totally agree. Yes. Yeah, the epitome. And I remember she was right before mine, and I think a lot of playmates, right before they come out, they are looking so much in all of the other issues, obviously, and we find our favorites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's
definitely
cool. Okay, but Neriah, I wanted to know, it says in the Playmate book, which is the big white one with all of our centerfolds and a little write-up. This was years ago this came out, but I just was reading yours, and it says that you wanted to go back and get a degree. Did you ever do that?
No. I've done a lot of, education along the way, but it's never been like a formal education. Like I got my certificate to teach yoga. I'm certified to teach Pilates.
Oh, wow.
I do hair and makeup. So like I've educated myself, but in different ways. I haven't actually gone back to college. It's something that I just feel like, and I tried to tell my daughter this, like, learn to do things that you love and have multiple talents. That way you're never stuck in one thing,
Good advice.
Well,
Very
and
good
so
advice.
she wants to be an athlete, but then now this year has been crazy because a school got canceled, sports got canceled. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for another backup plan,
Yes, I know. And my heart has been going out to those young athletes because I was one too. I loved softball. I lived for it, 4-year letter woman. And I would have been devastated if that was my senior year and we were going to state and all that and we couldn't do it. It is devastating, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's a big wake-up call. So, But,
because
I think
let's go.
The key right now is like flexibility and being able to roll with changes. I think it's a big big deal, so.
Well, you're a good mom and you have children. But let's just back up really quickly on that subject. I remember when you got married and you married a very good basketball player, and your daughter is the daughter of this basketball guy. I'm not going to say because that's your private life, and you can say the name if you want, but I'm just saying this is what happened. And I've been watching her grow up and watching all of your posts about her games, and she is isn't she in track and basketball and all that?
Yeah.
And what a good mom you are. So supportive and, nurturing her, and she's attaining. I have chills all over just talking about her. And, and then you had more children after that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, sure. I have her, and then I have my son. He'll be 10 this month. And then that's it. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I wasn't sure if you had more.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Also, don't you teach, or aren't you a photographer too? I thought you dabbled in that or started that.
Yep. I've been shooting pictures for about 20 years now. So, yeah, that's super fun. Yeah, it's been a great career.
We live far apart.
Yeah. You're in LA still, right?
No, I moved to Huntington Beach a year ago.
Oh, Huntington Beach. Okay. Oh, that's nice.
I know, because I always think, you know what, I should have Neriah take my picture. So I'm glad to know that you still do that.
Yeah, and my daughter, she's going to be graduating from high school pretty soon, so we're both like, okay, where can we move to?
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I like where I live, but I miss LA. I really do.
You do? Because you know what? There's two sides of you, Neriah.
Well, I lived in Santa Monica, and I love Santa Monica. But, I know things change, but I really love the ocean. I know you probably do, too, if you live in Huntington Beach. It's like,
oh, yeah.
I live in a beautiful place. I live in the country. I live in the mountains. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's God's country for sure. But, there's good and bad everywhere you go. It depends on your perspective.
You really do, though. You have two. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you have two sides. I've always known that about you. You have your LA girl, city side, glamorous, sexy, glamorous, amazing socialite. And then you have where you like the country and you like the nature and you like the hometown feel. You really do have two major sides to you, which is amazing.
I know, and you've
always
known that. You've always known that.
Neriah, let's tell them about us. We modeled together so much, more than a lot of my model friends. We did all the Fredericks and the Shirley, Hollywood, all the lingerie.
Totally. We had some good times for sure. But I want to get
go ahead.
A funny story, because I remember when I was roommates with Elkie, and I took your place being her roommate, and I was looking for a car, and I remember telling you, oh, I think I want to get a 4Runner. And you were just like, what the hell is wrong with you? You need a Mercedes or a BMW. I was like, well, I do.
I don't remember saying that, but I can imagine I would. But then what did you do? You showed up in the hottest, it looked like a shark BMW sports car. It was hot. You did it.
I got to get a Beamer. I got to get an 850.
Yeah, okay, really? That's what I need to do? Okay, I'll just go get one now. And you did. You know what? I have. Go ahead.
Remember when we went to Chicago for Jerry Springer show?
Yes.
It was the Jerry Springer show, and the Frederick girls went to Chicago for this lingerie show on Jerry Springer to show the wives what they should do for their husbands. Oh, can you imagine doing that now? Oh my God.
No. Oh my gosh.
But I remember
separated.
We were on and they took away, like, I think I had mace or something. They took it all away, and they kept us separated from the wives. It was crazy. But on the plane, I was telling you girls, like, about my ex-boyfriend at the time, or now, how he was treating me and blah, blah, blah. And you were like, oh, you're like, no man should treat you that way. You deserve diamonds and this and that. And sure enough, I was like, you're right. And I remember I broke up with him. I moved back to LA, and I was like, it was like a new chapter in my life. So I just want to thank you for that advice.
Oh, wow. I got chills on that one, too, that confirmation when you get chills. Oh, good. I love these interviews because things like that come out, and then it's things that I don't remember but were so important to you that are memorable.
Totally.
I love that. I love it so much. I have a little.
That's a big impact. Did.
And that's when you got the diamonds in the cars. And I mean, really, when you are a Playboy Playmate, if you just put your mind to anything, it helps so much. Didn't it open a lot of doors for you?
Oh, definitely. All those, like a decade of, clients like Shirley and like Fredericks, like that was great income, and it was such a great experience. And so I really don't think if I wouldn't have been, a playmate, it made me world famous. And it's so crazy because it's been, 26 years. And I get fan mail every day. I'm like, how are these people even finding my address? Like, it's crazy. Why am I still getting fan mail? Like, it's unbelievable.
Isn't it?
It really is.
It really is. It really is, and it's wonderful.
Well,
and there's the most loyal fans.
What I've also noticed, this is something that I've also noticed, is that amongst playmates, is that they seem to have, I'm not kidding again, they seem to have, all of them have at least one fan that's like really diehard that will go across the desert for 5 miles and stand for him. I mean, it just seems like we all have, there's several people, but there's usually one that stands out that just, it's like, now, do you have anybody that's like that, Neriah? I know Barbara has a few people like that, but but do you have anybody like that, Neriah?
Not that I can think of. I mean, when you say it like that, like my mind goes to kind of like stalker, but I never have.
No, I'm not talking about stalker. No, I'm talking about somebody.
Okay, I'm just kidding. My top 3 fans out there. I'm just kidding.
I'm talking like somebody that if you were in a jam, that they would help you out. Somebody that does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I have friends that are like that, but I don't. Maybe they started out as fans, but no, I have great, wonderful relationships that I've made because of my, being a playmate. I still, now I have to be careful because, my daughter is a teenager and her friends, her guy friends are like, there's the internet and Google. And so that can be a little tricky, but,
Right.
But no, as far as crazy diehard fans, I don't think, all my fans are pretty cool and pretty, I don't have any stories that I could, tell you. That
Okay.
are crazy. No.
Well, that's fine. You know what? I feel like I want to tell you something that is a little tidbit of, it's a wonderful compliment. I was talking to Stephen Wada, who shot our centerfold, who we love, and I asked him, or maybe it wasn't that. It was like Alexis Vogel was there. She was asking him, who are your favorite models to shoot of all time? Who have they been? And you know who he said?
I was
Neriah Davis.
And you.
Neriah Davis and Barbara Moore and one more, Anna Nicole Smith. The top 3. Us. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That is a huge compliment because he is amazing. And, when I was shooting my gatefold, at the studio, God, it was on Sunset then, right? Was it on Sunset or was it in Santa Monica? It was on Sunset, yeah.
Sunset.
It was my birthday. It was my 21st birthday, and I was like in this old classic truck, and all the lights were set up, and Alexis comes in and she says, and rests her soul, because I did not have any idea that she was even sick.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
I am so sorry. Yes, we did a whole tribute show on her here.
She was so amazing, but she came in and she told me, she said, Anna Nicole Smith she's in the building. She wants to come and say happy birthday to you. And I was like, okay. And so she came in and she was so beautiful and so sweet and had that drawl, and she was like, she wished me happy birthday, and she told me I was beautiful, and I was like 21, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, that was, and I think Stephen was shooting that day. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to have worked with those really talented people, and such a great moment in time. I think the 90s Playmates were just so amazing. Like, I'm grateful that I was one of them, but they're so stylized, and the whole team and everything was just, I've seen some Playboy pictures lately, and it just looks like just basic porn now. Like, it's nothing, there's nothing like, but maybe it's just the times, back then things were different, so.
Maybe it is the times, or maybe they don't have the budget. I mean, they had huge, big budget for us back then, and we were flying all around the world. I'm looking at your one of your pictures. When we say small camera, that means all of the smaller pictures around the centerfold, which makes up your whole layout. And I'm looking at one of those photos in this Playmate book. You guys should look Neriah Davis up, Miss March 1994. Your centerfold was dynamic. Your pictures were great. So much you could do with the old truck and what they had you wear. And it is so funny because it is like the hippie kind of look with the wonderful flowery blouse and
I know. I was really happy because when I picked it up off the newsstands and I opened it up and I saw it, I was really happy with like kind of the angle that they went with. I thought that was really authentic to me.
Very. It matched you, and they try to do that. They match the personality. They really put a lot of effort and thought into it back then. I love it. So what happened when it came out? Was it a big deal for your family? You're not talking like it was like anything that was hard to tell your mom or dad. So tell us about that.
When I told my mom, I'd already decided that I was going to do it. But I thought I should tell her about it, before I did it. And I just said, so I said, Playboy wants me to, shoot their be a centerfold. I said, what do you think I should do? And she said, well, she said, when I was, 20, 21, and if somebody asked me to be a Playboy centerfold, I can't tell you if I would have said yes or no. So do whatever it is that you feel is right, The only regret that I have is, and I didn't think about this because I was so young, but the only regret I have is that I did it when my sister was a senior at high school. And so, small town, it was in the paper, obviously no nudity, but it was like, in the local paper and stuff like that. And I think that was really super embarrassing for her. But, you can't go back and you can't change the past, but I do feel bad about that. But no, it wasn't something that I was afraid to tell my family about. I mean, where I grew up, people swam in the nude. They lay it out in the nude. We would have like brown bet contests during the summer. So you could, so it was, like, nudity was not a big deal. So, it wasn't something that my parents, they didn't like disown me or anything like that.
Because if you were only 21, the average age statistically of a Playboy Playmate is 23. You could have waited a couple years, but you know what? If you would have done that for that reason, it may not have gone the way that it did. You never know.
Yeah. No, I know. And I certainly wasn't going to wait. It was something that I was super excited about, But it was a weird time just because, like, my boyfriend at the time, he was a youth pastor, so there was all this conflict about sin and la, 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 so.
Same with mine. Same with mine. You couldn't even buy the magazine in my town that I was living in at the time. It was like a Bible Belt. So we had to go to the town over. And they called my grandma. Not Playboy, but some journalist called my grandma in Spokane, Washington, where I didn't even live, and said, well, we heard that your granddaughter was going to be Miss December 92 in Playboy Magazine. And she goes, my granddaughter would never do that. And they said, no, she's coming out. Like today, she's out or something like that. And she goes, oh, that's great. Is that funny?
She's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, the grandmas, they're so funny. But they never got my mom on the line, thank goodness. Poor mom. But she came to love it, though, because they don't they realize, if anybody has doubts, just take them to the Playboy Mansion. Have dinner with Hugh Hefner. And you can see this is a family. These are wonderful, nice people that are a family behind you. If you have no work, they're going to find you work. If you don't have a place to stay, they're going to let you stay there at the Playboy Mansion. Aren't they? I mean, so then they realize, okay, it's better to move to LA with Playboy behind you than not Playboy behind you.
Exactly. And I think, when I was a Playmate, and same with you, Hef was married to Kimberly, and he had a family, and, it was way different than became in like the 2000s when they got divorced and he became single and all that craziness that went on. Even then, it was such a great career, like promotions and being a bunny. Like that was something I was doing, right up until I got pregnant with my daughter, so it's like, it was an amazing career. And the money that you make becoming a centerfold it's not a lot, but what it can become, like all these jobs I got modeling after that. And I always joke around and say I went from no clothes to, modeling with clothes on because of being a centerfold,
That's right. And you were one that moved to LA right at the time your centerfold came out, and you took a lot of advantage of all the modeling opportunities that were there because you had the perfect hourglass figure. And I know one of your best assets is your very tiny waist. Can you tell us your measurements?
Yeah, I know. I've been accused of having ribs removed. I'm like, yeah, that never happened. So, I mean, now for some reason my butt has shrunk, so it's not as like poofy as it used to be. But when I was modeling, I was 23, 36. Those were my measurements. So it was a good hourglass.
That was
I did get a lot of lingerie modeling jobs just because of the way that the garments fit. So.
Oh yeah, it's like you were the perfect basic human hanger for any kind of lingerie garment. And you and I did a lot of shooting together. And oh my goodness, people, it naturally does come like that. Can be that little, and it is quite amazing. I mean, just naturally, it's just beautiful. So I always admire you for that. Oh yeah. Aww. Okay,
you're just getting more beautiful with time.
Oh, you see my Instagram. I just thought, hey, I moved and I found all these photographs from all these years. I mixed them with the new, and then I put like a catalog photo in there, and just from my past. And it's just like, there's no way we could ever run out of photos if we're doing that kind of thing. If we're looking for photos from our body of work that we've done, you cannot run out. And it's
I know.
It gives you like, you're like, hey, wow, I really did do something. I really worked, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's my perk in life, that I can have this freedom. I got that, and you know what? I'm not going to just put it under the rug. I'm going to use it. It's my perk. This is a wonderful life. I'm sorry that happened to your sister, and it is a little hard when they become teenagers and they've got the hot mom still. But, hey, that's our life, and some people think that our children choose us.
Right.
I mean, how are you in the spiritual world? Like, what are your beliefs? I also read that you and youth clubs in church.
No, I just was kind of along for the ride because my boyfriend at the time was a youth pastor, so I would share my testimony and stuff like that. But I believe in karma for sure. I believe in I've always believed in being kind, and if nothing makes me happier than reconnecting with someone and telling them me that I made a positive impact on them, because I mean, I don't ever want to hurt anybody, or I just try to lead with love in my life. So kind of that's my belief. As far as religion per se, that always is evolving in life, I think.
Right. That's good. Very positive. A good positive outlook, and good. And you're a wonderful mom and family woman.
Negativity in the world.
We do not need any more people.
No.
No. Do you have a best friend playmate?
What's that?
Like one playmate out there that is like really your best friend, the closest playmate to you. If you don't have one, that's fine too.
My best friend has been my best friend since we were freshmen in high school, and we have been best friends without fail for that amount of time. And, all those girls that I met were wonderful. And I love social media to connect with those women because we feel like it's like a bond that will never go away. And I'm so grateful to be, you're part of that.
Oh, yes. I mean, it was fuzzy. Johnny, can you hear? Do you know what she said?
There was a little bit of a connection problem. Can you repeat what you said?
Which part?
About your friend from...
I just said, I've had the same best friend since freshman in high school. And then when I, moved down to LA, my girlfriend, best friend was Brooke Burke. And she was never a playmate, but she was on the cover. And I think she did some celebrity pictorials. And so she's been a great, amazing friend of mine. Her daughter is named Neriah, and she just turned 21.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Can I say the name? Brooke Burke.
Yeah.
Brooke Burke. I love Brooke, and we modeled so much. There was a group of us that, Leanne Tweeden was one that was always in the group of working for the lingerie, and then there was another group, swimwear, too. I did most lingerie, but...
It was for sports. It was me, you, Brooke, Leanne, Rosie Tennyson.
Mm-hmm. Rosie Tennyson, and we had Renee on the show too. We interviewed Renee.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I met them, they used to if one were sick, the other one would take their place in a job. But I always knew the difference between the two of them.
Yeah, you did.
I
couldn't after a little while, but.
That's Betty Hartman.
Oh, no. And she had a Chippendale's boyfriend, too. Not Rosie, but Renee.
Renee, yep. Yeah.
For a while.
So, I feel really grateful. I've had made so many awesome friends in modeling and in Playboy and girls that are just, it's so cool to be able to, know the real person behind that, their look.
Thank you. And that's why we're doing this, Neriah. We're doing this Playboy Playmate series so people can realize that there's a person under all of that, and we're human, and we love, and we're good, and we have families, and we have goals, and we have memories, and you know what? That's what we're showing here by interviewing the Playboy Playmates, because I thought it was important for people to see. Right, Johnny?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. And Johnny, he found me because of Playboy. So much in my life has come because I'm a Playboy Playmate. Johnny wanted a Playboy Playmate on his show. And, I came on his show, and now I've been the co-host for over a year. And I love doing this. I just love radio, and I love working with Johnny, and it's a positive show, and I love it.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I don't know. Wait, what was that?
I just said you're so good at it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Just having a conversation. So, Neriah, okay, I don't know if you want to talk about this. It was a hard thing to happen to you. And thank goodness you ended up getting all that work after your centerfold came out. But right after it came out, what happened? You were in an accident, and then tell us a little bit about that journey. Wow.
So this was right after my centerfold came out, and my boyfriend at the time was really into mountain biking, and so I bought a brand new mountain bike, and we were out in the mountains, and I was a newbie at this, so I ended up crashing the mountain bike, and it slid across the road. I slid across the road on my face, and so I broke my jaw and had to have my jaw wired shut. So here I am, jaw wired shut. Centerfold came out. I had just done a commercial for Miller Lite or something. Thank God, because I was getting, residuals in the mail for that. But it was a very humbling thing that happened because I, a lot of like being charming is being able to talk to people and express yourself, and I couldn't do that at all for like 2 months.
Your jaw was wired shut for how long?
Yes.
How long?
For 8 weeks. 8 weeks.
Oh, 8 weeks. Okay, that is a long time though. And you know what I remember? You said, Barbara. Oh my gosh. What, Johnny?
When did this happen?
Right after her centerfold came out on the stand.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something because, the reason I'm going to say something is because I it seems, it's sort of funny because one of our psychics the psychic that works on the show, Vanessa Orr, was saying that she's come to the conclusion that it seems that there seems to be an awful lot of bad luck with accidents amongst playmates. And I mean, it seems like she's worried. She was a little worried about that.
Well, yeah, that wasn't very good luck. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Bad luck. But you know what? It worked out. But there are so many promotions. She was saying afterwards. Did you miss some promotional work?
Yeah, but not. It was fine. And if you thought my waist was small before, imagine 2 months on a liquid diet.
Oh, Neriah, I remember you said, Barbara, all I dreamt of when my jaw was wired shut was eating a hot dog. I just wanted a hot dog. And, can you imagine? That's a long time to not eat solid food. Everything through a straw. And that's right when you were a brand new playmate. Oh, I couldn't believe it when you told me that.
Well, and I remember the woman from Shirley, she called me and she said, listen, we have a shoot coming up. We want you to do it. And I said, well, I broke my jaw, And so she was like, well, just send some Polaroids and we'll see how you look, So I sent them. I ended up booking the job. And so I went down to LA and Michelle Vanderhoel did my makeup, and she fixed all the, scratches on my face. And it's funny because I ended up being on the cover of that catalog. And it's so funny because all of the pictures on the cover and in the catalog, I have like this pouty look on my face because I can't freaking open my mouth because I've wired on my mouth,
Wow. Well, thank goodness, though, that nothing else more serious happened because your face, when you're a model, it really, matters. And thank goodness it was just at scratches. But, oh, wow, I was really feeling for you at that time. And I just think it's kind of an interesting thing, life happens to people. And this is what happened.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It was.
But then you got so much work when those things came off your jaw. You were working so much. Did you ever ask?
Yep.
You must have been in a lot of TV and film.
Yeah, TV, film, commercials.
Tell us a few.
What's that?
Did you do Married with Children?
I did Married with Children. Mhm.
They always wanted the playmate.
I worked with Michael Clark Duncan. I worked with King Kong Bundy. I loved doing that show. It was so fun. It was live TV is so much better because I remember I did a week on Baywatch, and it was so different because live TV you've got the audience and the energy and everybody's like on, keyed up, and whereas more, I don't know, it's just different, and I just really enjoyed doing live TV more than not.
I remember that was my ever. So I was nervous going out in front of a live audience. 2 shows we had to do. And I was nervous about that. That's cool that you weren't, and that maybe you had some butterflies, but that you enjoyed that. That was awesome. So you didn't feel like pursuing that much, more, getting in, really getting in deep with a role and becoming a famous actress on the silver screen. Was that ever a passion? Because I do remember you were like, Barbara, I just want to live my life. And I totally agreed with you with the acting. It's just either you're fully into it. Everybody wants a Playboy Playmate on Married with Children and all of those wonderful guest starring roles, and we do it. But some people really have the passion for acting, and some people just, it was fun, but I don't really want to pursue it to be my major career. How did you feel about that?
That's a really good question. I think I probably initially wanted to be an actress, but then once I moved to LA and became a playmate, I saw that it was really pretty much impossible to have a serious career if you'd been a playmate. You're always going to be typecast. And then I also didn't want to sell my soul, and there was plenty of opportunity to do that, and that just wasn't me. So I wasn't willing to do whatever it took to get certain jobs, and I was fine with that, But that's just me. Everyone's different.
Yeah,
I know why. There's a lot of actors out there that have done whatever they have to do to become famous, and that's okay because everybody's got their own path,
Right. But that's probably why you were saying that to me. I just want to live my life, and living your life didn't mean sacrificing your soul for any reason, and so you did not do that. Okay, that's good.
And
I was wondering.
There's been so much with the whole Me Too movement, and then this whole Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know if you saw the documentary on Netflix, but all this shit has been going on forever, and we were really down there in the lion's den, and there's been so many instances where I can think of being trying to people trying to manipulate you and trying to get you to do things with these promises, and it's just I didn't like it, and I've been a little passive aggressive, sending my centerfold to people that have tried to victimize me and be like, oh, if you give me a hand job, I'll get you into Playboy. It's no, gross.
No.
So I would sign it and send it to them. Here you go. Happy trails, buddy.
And did you know Hess really cared about, I'm sure you knew that he cared so much when all of those girls were going to Brunei, and Hess sent out a letter, I still have it, where he signed it saying, if you go, any of you go, you will not be welcome back here at the Playboy Mansion. And we will find out. And I remember when BJ Turner had some girls come in and look at their passports and wanted to see if the stamp for Brunei was in there. They were doing that. I heard from a playmate, they did that to her, and she did not go. And so, but they never brought me in to ask me, but I remember when all that was going on, and I thought that was quite scary to go over to some foreign land where they took your passport away, and what we've heard what goes on over there. I even told my dad about it, and I go, Dad, this is going on, and he goes, people get beheaded over there. But they were going for money. You know what? Some people do, some people don't. I don't think it's worth it. I do not think it's worth it. No.
I know. I was how are all these girls affording these brand new condos and everyone's got a new car, and I just didn't. Then I started to hear more about it, and I was like, oh wow, and I actually got recruited a few times, and I never went to meet the lady. I was just like, oh no, that's not on the table for me, Me
neither. I was wondering, since you were from California, but Northern California, which that's 5 hours away, and you had a lot to shoot with Playboy before when you're shooting your centerfold for a week, and you are brought back to shoot all of the other pictures, which we call small camera, then you're doing probably work with all of their other publications, which are the newsstand specials back then, which are, 20 more magazines, Bathing Beauties, Playboy's Lingerie, Playmate in Bed, tons of them. Now, you were probably doing a lot of that. Did you stay at the Playboy Mansion overnight ever?
So no, I never did. And what happened was I lived down there, and then I was living in LA when I did my centerfold, and I moved back up north when Linda Sobek was killed.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I was in a cow. I was the one replaced. Oh my gosh, I was replaced on a poster with her best friend Brooke Morales, I think her name was, and that was her best friend. And I flew on the private plane with that and you probably know that photographer down in Orange County. He flew us in his private plane down to Baja, Mexico, and I had to shoot it for her, the Pacifico beer poster. And they were like, Barbara, I'm glad it's you because we know you. And they were sad because they had been planning this photo shoot together as best friends. She was doing a different poster company, and she was doing the Pacifico, Linda Sobek, and that all happened. And I remember getting the call, and I was visiting my mom in Seattle, Washington, and they said, we need to replace Linda. She's been killed. Oh, my gosh. That was like, I do remember that. And I also was in a calendar with her, which was beautiful. Sobek, Sobek. Yeah. And she was a Raiderette. She wasn't a Playboy Playmate, but yes, I do remember that. So go on with your story while Johnny obviously is
that just really shook me. Oh, and then that was also around the same time when I was living with Elkie and the guy from Milli Vanilli broke into the apartment.
Oh, God. Oh, no way. I forgot about that.
Remember that?
Okay. So this girlfriend of Elkie's, this German girl, she was dating one of the Milli Vanilli guys. And was that before they found out or after they found out that they weren't really singing? No way. And this guy broke into your apartment? Tell us about it.
So he came in, and I just didn't, because it was Elkie, and then it was someone else, and then Elkie and the other girl went back to Germany, and then this girl Simone was staying in the apartment, right?
Right.
But I was working all the time. I was a working model. I was never home, and they were practicing cokeheads, so they were up all night and sleeping all day. So I was never home when they were home, and vice versa. So I come home, they come in, and the guy from Milli Vanilli, who's dead now, and Simone, and they're fighting, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I said, you need to leave because she obviously doesn't want you here, so leave, okay? So they both leave. So I set the alarm because I'm like, I don't know, I had an unsettling feeling. So I'm sitting there, and the alarm goes off. I see it's in her room. Remember, it was like on the ground floor, sliding glass doors in the back. And so the alarm goes off. I see it's in her room. So I run into my room. I run into the bathroom, lock the door. I call the Beverly Hills police. They're there in like 3 minutes. And they apprehend him on the side of the apartment. And they bring him back through, and so I can identify him. And he is just out of his mind. He's like, I'm going to kill you, white bitch. I'm going to come back and slit your throat at night and all this stuff. Oh. And so they see his headshot on the floor, and they're like, oh, are you Millie or are you Vanilli? And I'm like, just messing with him, But they took him to jail, and then I left, and I stayed with a friend in the Valley that night because I was so afraid that he was going to come back and do what he said he was going to do, Yeah. And so I stayed with her, and then then Linda got killed, and so I was like, I'm done with LA for right now. And so I moved back up here for a couple of years, and I would just commute back and forth for modeling jobs. But I never stayed the night at the mansion, but I worked there many times as a bunny and as a playmate, and it was always a great experience.
Yes, and I always felt kind of bad for the local California girls because when you're far away, I was living in Nashville at the time, and I came back 8 times, and every single time it was like a week at the Playboy Mansion, and it just was so wonderful with taking
fun. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. But it's okay.
The heyday,
Yeah, and it just was like wow. But I always wonder about the girls. Do you ever think about the girls who try out for Playboy and don't make it? And they've stayed at the mansion for a week shooting their centerfold, and they don't make it. How do you think they've dealt with that?
I've never even thought about that.
I do think about that. I mean, that's hard because when they come out, that's their big dream. A lot of them, it's their dream, and they come out and they shoot it, and they've got a taste of 24-hour butler service. Okay, we have our gym on the grounds. We have a zoo here. You're sitting next to Hef having dinner every night. Kimberly's his wife is taking and the out to sushi another night. There's a cocktail party, and you see the glitz and the glamour, and you're meeting the celebrities, and you're shooting your centerfold, and they make you feel like the most beautiful beautiful woman on the planet, inside and out. And you then get that taste of it, and then you don't get it. How do you think that makes somebody feel? Yeah, how do you think that makes somebody feel?
And then they go back to, like, their little, like, town in Ohio or something,
Right. And then Playboy uses one of their test shots for the back of the magazine or something.
Yeah.
Kidding.
It's so crazy because when I was a Playmate, it was just everything was such a whirlwind, and I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have been a little more, like, worldly, I was so innocent. But, it was still, it was a great memory, and I had a lot of fun with it,
That's wonderful. But that's what it was all about, is not being worldly. It was about Hugh Hefner finding the girl next door. That was the magic of it, being a Playmate.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yes, I was like a very typical Playmate then.
Oh, gosh, yes. But then you went on to be one of the biggest models in that era. All the lingerie and the swimwear and the posters and the commercials and the TV shows and film. I mean, you did really live a wonderful life with that.
I had
a
career for really not planning on it,
Exactly, for not really planning on it. You really did.
Yeah.
That was quite amazing. I wanted to take this time, because we're closing the show, for you to tell the listeners where the best way is to find you. If you're selling anything, if you do eBay or social media, where would you like to be contacted?
They can always, let's see. I get a lot of contacts on Instagram. I'm just Neriah Davis on Instagram. I still have my P.O. box where I can get fan mail, and it's if you guys want that, I can give it to you.
Okay, do you want to say what you charge? How, like, if they have a photo or a magazine that they want to, we don't say what the charge is on the air, but they send this to you. You can sign it for a fee and then send that back to them. Go ahead with the address.
Yeah, I'm really good at returning mail too. So it's just P.O. Box 34, and that's in Vallecito with a V, California, 95251. And if you have, items that you want me to, sign, I will do it. I'll personalize them for free, but if they just want my signature, my autograph, it's just $10 a signature.
Oh, you're so nice. You know why? Because Hef always says to the Playmates, when we did GlamourCon a lot back then, could you please just charge $10 per signature? These people, they're like, their highlight of their life is getting an autograph from you. Don't bust their balls.
No.
And that's what right? You just sign it and let them have it. It's their dream. I'm good with that too. And people send me things, and there's no tech in there, but
Do they still have GlamourCon? Remember the expo? That was so much fun.
Yeah. They don't have GlamourCon anymore, and that was sad when that stopped, but I guess they just weren't getting enough people buying tickets at the door anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, they just weren't, and Hef would come, and that would be really helpful to us because everybody wanted to meet Hugh Hefner. I guess, you know what, he's telling us to sell our autograph for $10, but he charges $6,000.
Oh, God bless him.
I know. Was it sad for you when Hef passed away a few years ago?
It was, yes, very sad. It was. I have nothing but great memories of him, and there was being a Playmate and being a bunny. I got asked some ridiculous questions. I'm not going to lie, but I have nothing but respect for him because he never showed anything but respect for me, and that to me speaks volumes. So I was always really proud to be associated with the company, you know. And I think a lot of people who have something negative to say are just jealous or feel like they want, or I think that's just basically what it was. I think people that, you know, were jealous didn't know, you know, they just assumed. They
Right.
assumed, oh, you're a playmate, you had to sleep with Hef, you know. Oh, well, actually, I shook his hand, and that's the most we've ever done.
Exactly. So that is our kind of description of the relationship that we've had as the 90s playmates with Hef, because like you were saying earlier, we came along, he was married. He really was serious about his marriage with Kimberly Conrad Hefner, very serious. He had the 2 little kids. I used to see them every morning for breakfast, and one, Cooper, was in the high chair, and that's what it was like. And did you ever think, oh, gosh, it's like that? Now, I've missed all of the great wild parties.
Right?
Kid toys.
No,
There's kid toys everywhere.
Yeah. And, oh, my gosh, like, to talk about Kimberly, how beautiful was she? It's absolutely gorgeous. And then I guess Cooper's, like, he's in politics.
Saw that in the news.
Yeah, so he seems like a really cool person. Yeah.
I love him. He likes the story. When I took a picture of me with him while he was in the high chair, and he was, like, 1, and he loves it. And I think he loves it. I loved his mom. And we were closer than most, but she was kind of kept to herself. But I was friends with her. We would go out to, like I said, sushi all the time. And she wanted to work out. She loved working out. And so we did that a couple of times. She was totally cool. And I think she raised a couple of really nice boys with Hef. And, wow, so that was wonderful. I had another question. Let's see. And now it was on the tip of my tongue, a wonderful question for you. Johnny, while I think about this question, do you have any questions for Neriah?
Well, my curiosity is that, I mean, do you feel there's a difference in eras and how playmates are treated? Like, for example, say somebody, a playmate in the 80s is supposed to be a playmate in the 90s?
I think that, not really, just because I've been to so many different conventions with different eras, and it seems like they're pretty, like I said, the women, no matter if you were a playmate in the 60s or the 2000s, you know, there's like a mutual respect there. And then as far as the fans go, you know, typically they're all just pretty awesome and have a lot of respect for the women. So it's hard for me to say how different eras are treated because all I know is my experience.
Me too. I don't know, but I'm curious. And we've had some newer playmates on the Playboy Playmate series, and I'm trying to figure it out. But I would like a playmate from right now. They're still going on with it. I know the magazine, and I'm still unsure exactly when the actual tangible paper has not been printing anymore, and now it's just digital. I'm wondering.
I don't know when the last actual magazine with, and they still have centerfolds. I mean, I don't know. Like I do see some on Instagram with the hashtags of the playmates, but it's way different than it used to be. You know, times sure have changed.
Way different. It's way different. They have a plus size model now. How are you feeling about the differences? What I didn't like is when they had a centerfold and she had a cigarette in her hand that was lit, and she was totally nude with nothing else, no clothing, no styling, nothing, but just a cigarette. And I thought, what are they doing? I think it was one of the last nude, and then they went non-nude, which they realized was a big mistake. And I just thought that's not cool, but I do like the plus model. I kind of like that. What do you think about the other kind of models? Like they had a retro model, they have a tattooed up model, they have they're doing that kind of thing. What do you think about that? That's not really the typical girl next door.
I appreciate it just because I think, for me, I know that, whenever I would have like friends or my sisters come to LA to visit me and they would like accompany me on a photo shoot, I always wanted them to see the process, like to see me wake up as just a normal girl, right? And then go into hair and makeup, go into styling, and then to see the finished product, like whether it be a poster or a calendar or something like that. With the airbrushing, like when I shot my centerfold, I had been camping the week before, and I had poison oak all over my legs. And in the centerfold, my legs look like a Barbie. I mean, like flawless. So
right.
I think that the ideal, I mean, yes, the girls in the 80s and the 90s, like, were, exceptionally, good-looking girls, pretty, natural, little enhancements here and there, but they all pretty much looked the same. I'm not going to lie. Like, you knew, like, okay, that's Playmate, big boobs, big hair, da-da-da-da-da. And I think that the face of beauty has evolved, and, like, you can have tattoos everywhere and be beautiful. You can have piercings. You can be plus size. Like, it's okay to, like, draw outside the lines a little bit. So I think, the 90s Playmates were very, like, typical Playmate, like, quote-unquote, Barbie-ish, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
But,
yes.
But,
you are. I mean, but there was some flat ones.
But, yes, and I adored that. Like, I mean, I thought, like, natural, like, summer outfits, just gorgeous, naturally beautiful.
Yeah, me too.
But I think that it's a little bit of variety, it's a beautiful thing. And especially now that I have a teenage daughter, I want her to embrace her natural beauty and not try to be like, I have to fit into this. She goes on TikTok and Instagram, Snapchat, and everyone's using filters and this and that. And I love filters. Do not get me wrong. But I said you can't look at that and say, that's how that person looks. Like, this is how people really look, So just keep in mind that you're dealing with, an unattainable idea of beauty because it has been so, like stylized and filtered and stuff like that. So, I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean.
I agree with you because I have a teenage daughter too, and she's 13. And you know what? Hey, there are a select handful, a few women that have those proportions, and just because one man said that is what they should look like doesn't mean the rest of the women do because of one man thinking that was the epitome section of a woman. I totally agree, and I love the full-figured Playmate that I would love to interview her. I totally agree with the tattoo thing. It's a magazine just had to evolve. I mean, it has had to accept tattoos because all the hot women usually had them. I still don't have any, but it doesn't matter. I still enjoy looking at other tattoos, and he had to accept it. He didn't used to let the Playmates even have pierced ears, Neriah. Did you know that?
No, I know.
And he had to move with the time. He had to.
Nicole Smith, what size do you think she was? She was a full-figured woman.
That was different. Yeah, that was different. That was one of the first. That was amazing. I mean, her face was just so beautiful. But her body, though, it still was an hourglass. It was an hourglass.
Right.
Yeah. She was the Playmate of the Year in my year. And do you know that we have had 3 pass away in my year now?
Really? From
tragedy,
yes.
Stephanie Adams, I don't know if you heard of what happened with her murder-suicide. Stephanie Adams, she was right before me, Miss November 92, and I was December 92. She threw her 7-year-old boy, off a balcony in a New York hotel, very high up, and then she threw herself to her death.
Oh, my God.
A year ago. Mhm.
I did not know this.
Yes. I was actually on another podcast. They interviewed me about it because I was from her year, and yes, that happened because of some kind of bad divorce.
Elisa Bridges, She overdosed.
From your year, right?
My
yes,
year,
94, yeah. Right? Yes. Yeah. I remember that too. And then also Tiffany Sloan from my year, she overdosed. But she took the wrong route. I mean, I asked her, I said, well, why are you, okay, now you're a Playboy Playmate centerfold. There's so much opportunity that you could take advantage of. Why did you move back to Vegas to be a stripper? And she goes, I could make a lot more money headlining. So, okay, yeah, if you can do that, that's you. But then it went down the road of, drugs, and then she's, dead. So that's 3 in my year, 1 in your year, and due to tragedy. So that is very, very sad. But I wanted to say, I remember it's not really a question, but I wanted to say, I remember what I was going to tell you, that the 90s Playmates were considered extra special to Hef. Did you know that?
No.
Mm-hmm. He did say that often, and he says this because the 90s was when he didn't have a lot of interaction with the Playmate at that time because he was married, and he had to be careful of that kind of thing. So that is why he said that. But then everything changed when he got a divorce. Yeah, but we're special to him because, you know what, I was going to ask you what your relationship was like with Hef. But it was about like what mine is, I mean, it was strictly professional. We'd see him walking around the mansion like that's his house, and he's walking around. But we weren't really sitting down, engaged in his space with like long, drawn-out conversations. It wasn't really like that.
Nope, not for me. Definitely just 100%. It was a job, and it was, and I took it seriously, and they made it really known, especially when you were a bunny, and because Hef hand-picked the bunnies. Like, not every Playmate was a bunny. Like, he picked the bunnies based on
tell us about it, because I know.
Yeah.
Neriah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do remember in 1992, they weren't doing any bunny stuff at all when I came along. And I'm like, oh, gosh, those bunny costumes are so cute. And then they started it around your time, and then I wanted to wear one, and then finally I got to wear one. And it was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I love it. But you did a lot of bunny work. There was
lots of rules. I mean, you couldn't sit, couldn't hold a drink, you couldn't be caught eating anything. Like there was strict rules to be a bunny, And people are always like, oh, did you get to keep the bunny suit? No, absolutely not. You did not get to keep that bunny suit. So, but
and what color? You were blue,
green.
Right? Oh, green. Oh, beautiful. My favorite color. Ooh, I love it.
I was green. Yeah,
but you had your own. You didn't get to keep it, but after you wore it, you gave it back to them, but that was yours for the next one, right? The next event.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
So, yeah, but I mean, people would ask if they kept us in cages. I mean, just ridiculous questions. I'm like, oh my God, yes, they keep us in cages.
Was rude.
Hop around.
That was just rude. Oh my gosh, I love the way it feels though. It feels so great having that tight around your tummy and your frame. It kind of holds everything in. And you wear did you wear 2 nylons? They gave us 2 nylons. One clear.
2 nylons. Yep.
Mhm. Why is that?
And
match the legs perfect.
To make them perfect, exactly. And your shoes matched your bunny suit. And the ears matched as well. I mean, it was a big deal.
It really was. You were a perfect bunny.
And to see people's reactions when you had that thing on was just men, women alike. I mean, they were just like, oh my God, it's a bunny,
And then they would feel it if they put their arm around you and felt that around the midsection, just the firmness of that high quality fitted. Oh gosh, he
very
really knew
iconic.
What he was doing. Very
iconic.
He really knew.
So.
You know what? You are an iconic Playboy Playmate. You're one of the most popular Playboy Playmates of all time. And
oh my God!
I love.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you are, and I've heard that a lot of times, Neriah. I've heard that a lot. out there. And it's been such a pleasure getting to know your story and hearing all of your details on how this was and who you are as a person and a successful career woman, model, and all the fun and the positivity that you experienced with Playboy, which is such a major, powerful brand we're so fortunate to be a part of. And this has really been a wonderful hour. So thank you, Neriah, so much.
You're such a great interviewer, Barbara. Thank you, guys. It was really a pleasure. It's so great to see you again, and it's so funny the things that you remembered. Oh, yes.
I wanted to ask you a question. She's going to do the shout-out, but do you by chance have Roku?
Roku. Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay, because tell her about we have a channel that we're also doing. It's an educational channel, and
TV channel.
It's a TV on the TV, and you can search for us with Life, Laughter, Happiness, Learn. She'll mention it in the shout out, and it's if you have any ideas for anything educational that you can put on the channel, let us know. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
If you can teach. Yes. If you can teach anything, it's learning from people. I have a lady coming on who's one of my best friends, an interior designer, and we're going to use my living room. We're going to transform it right on. So, because I said, Johnny, this is like kind of a shame that, we're doing radio with Playboy Playmate, and they can't ever see us. So we decided we're starting this TV channel, so we do episodes with that, and it's found on Roku. So I'm currently doing the shout out right now, Johnny. You can find Life, Laughter, Happiness, Learn on Roku, and please watch it. And please write a review after you do. We just started it, and if you would like to get an autograph from Miss March 1994 Neriah Davis, she told you where to go, what her address is, so you can find her if you forget on Instagram. She's on Instagram. She has a wonderful feed and following and great posts, so find Neriah there. And follow us on our YouTube channel, Life, Laughter, Happiness. And you can listen to this show again and find all of our other shows right there. And Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, across the board, Life, Laughter, Happiness. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed Neriah Davis. We sure did.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Have a great night,
everyone.
Neriah. Thank you. Thanks, Johnny.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Good night, Barbara.